We just recently learned about the trademark filing and lawsuit by the Ditko estate against Marvel, Disney, Sony, and the owners of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. But now The Hollywood Reporter has an even bigger story because majority of the Marvel universe is now in limbo. So let's talk about this major update that could literally change everything. So what The Hollywood Reporter has discovered is that Disney's Marvel is now suing to hold on to many of the characters most of you are familiar with. These characters include, but are not limited to, Iron Man, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, the Falcon, and majority of other Marvel and Avengers associated characters. And this filing is meant as a counter by Marvel, and it is against the Steve Ditko, Stan Lee, and Glenn Colan estates. And they are suing as a copyright termination that these works that they have put on film, for example, are not to be associated with the works that were created back in the day, because those were essentially created as work for hire. And that Disney and Marvel owns all of these characters, including all the recent iterations of them, specifically the film ones, for example, because that is their creations. So this thing is honestly just kind of going to, I guess, escalate like this. I'm going to try to break it down in the best way that I can, and when we get more info and try to simplify everything through the legal garbage and jargon that they're going to throw in there, and, you know, pointing fingers like the good old Spider-Man meme. But essentially what you're getting here is Marvel believes that if you work for them and you were hired to create characters or write stories, that you don't legally own those characters and stories that you created when you were hired for them, which is actually factual. I mean, that's sort of like the deal you sign, you know, when you, for example, go work for another company. If you come up with a brand new video game idea and you're working for, let's say, I don't know, Respawn Entertainment. Well, if you came up with the idea and started developing it at the time you worked at Respawn on their technology and their time, and you were being paid and developing it, it's theirs. I mean, this has been how the industry has been operating ever since the industry really formulated itself. So, I mean, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how each side presents their case and what happens and how far does this go. But the implications here would be huge. I mean, could you imagine if suddenly Iron Man is no longer a thing? Or, you know, Black Widow or Doctor Strange or Spider-Man or who knows what else among all these characters, like Ant-Man, for example, right before Quantumania or something. Like, it would be disastrous to pretty much everything. And this is just one of those things that's going to keep coming up. I mean, it recently happened with the Predator rights. It's happening with Terminator. It's going to be happening with many DC characters. So this is definitely not going to go away anytime soon.